Hi, I'm Steven Rothberg. I am the founder of College Recruiter Job Search Site, where we believe that every student and recent graduate deserves a great career and that it should be easy and inexpensive for employers to hire them. About once a month, I get together with one or two of my coworkers to talk about kind of like whatever the topic of choice is that month. And we decided this month we're going to have our Chief Operating Officer, Jeanette Leeds. Hello, Jeanette.
Hi,
And and our head of sales, Glen Handrahan. Good to see you, Glenn.
Rick.
Join me for a discussion that came out of a presentation that I saw about a week and a half ago. I was at the TA Tech North America conference in Oceanside, which is near San Diego, and Chris Foreman, the founder and former CEO of Appcast, delivered a really interesting, thought-provoking presentation on agentic AI. I think we all know what AI is, so I'm not going to get into that. But agentic basically means that you tell the AI what to do, and then it goes off and it does that for you. So it's not like a Chat GPT experience or Gemini where you're kind of typing in a question and it comes back with an answer, but it would be more like, I'm traveling to Tennessee, book me an airline ticket on Friday, such and such a date. I want to spend between such and such a amount of money. And these are the airlines that I'm willing to fly on. And then the AI would go out, look at the airlines, log in, buy the ticket, and you'd get an email. In this case, what Chris was talking about was fully automating the entire recruiting process from beginning to end. So a person at the employer would type into the agentic AI or speak, I'm looking for a person to do this. And the AI would go out onto the web, find every candidate that it thinks might be qualified. It would rank them, and then it would go through them one by one and basically say, hey, Glenn, you look like you're really well qualified. We have pre-approved you for this job. All we need you to do is to click this button and then pick a start date. And then you would show up, and the first interaction that you would have with any human at all would be when you show up with your employment verification documents to prove that you're legally allowed to work. So you wouldn't be interviewed. Nobody's going to be looking at your resume or CV. Fully automated. Chris thinks, he said that he used to think that was 5 to 10 years away. He now thinks that's 3. So we're going to talk about, is that a reality? So Jeanette, maybe I'll start off with you. You've got a long history, probably more than Glenn and me combined, with these issues.
Yes.
What are your thoughts? I mean, is this?
Yeah. So, I mean, that sounds crazy, right? Like, it's just, I love, by the way, the idea of like a pre-approved to show up, right? It's like a pre-approved credit card and whatnot. So, I would say it's a yes and no, right? There's definitely there is no question in my mind. And it's probably happening a little bit in pockets already. For certain roles, for certain companies, and maybe it's smaller, probably not large enterprise, you're going to be there and doing that. I mean, I always used to joke for years, like on my phone, you'd be like, hey Siri, and I don't want to set it off, be like, find me 5, whatever, lifeguard, right? It's the summer. Find me 5 lifeguards that can start tomorrow, right? And it just goes off and does it, right? We are at that age where that is starting. I don't even think it's like 3 years away, but you could literally sort of set something like that up. But with that said, if I think about larger companies, right? And while everyone's moving much faster and adopting new, I don't even want to say technology, because it's not even technology, it's a process change.
Yes.
Like, it is a process change. It takes a bit of time, right? We'll start to see companies starting embedding portions of that. I think automating maybe up to the interview, right? Where it goes off, finds those candidates, but then there's an interview. And I think it also depends on the type of roles, right? So I don't see things as a total black and white, right? There's the shades of gray and whatnot, but I don't think Chris is so far off. Like, it will be there, but not every.
And to be clear, she said shades of gray, not 50 Shades of Gray. That's for another podcast.
That's a different podcast.
Yeah. So Glenn, the employers that you're talking to that, are customers, potential customers of College Recruiter, they skew very large. right? Fortune 1000, government agencies. Are you hearing any of this from any of them?
Yeah, I think, like Jeanette said, there's a little bit of yes and no in this. I think many companies we work with are using AI to help maybe screen some candidates. A lot of them are using AI in like kind of a chatbot scenario where they'll start up a conversation. They can schedule the interviews through there. Some of them are even using AI in the interviews. That's already going on, very much so. But I think where we're looking at companies going out and finding these candidates, um, yeah, like 3 years. I mean, I used to work for Chris. 3 years seems like wild that it could happen. You just think where is this database of all these people? If it's a pre-approval job, like how long is it open for? Is it only open for 4 hours and then it goes to the next candidate? Are we going to get tired with having 20 job opportunities in our email every day from potential companies that we're just going to eventually ignore? I don't know. A lot of it seems pretty far fetched, and with the Workday case that's going on right now,
Mm.
there's some things there with some screening with AI that we need to take into account. I don't know. Something big will happen in our industry,
Yeah.
but our industry is very different in recruiting. Where if you're a Nike, you can go promote your shoes to everybody you want, but you can't promote your jobs to only certain people. There's
Mm.
rules around that as well,
That's
right?
that's
And
interesting.
and it'll be interesting to see how it adapts in here.
So that's really interesting, Glenn, because that's an aspect that I wasn't even thinking about. That if whether it's a Nike or whether it's like Fred's Corner taco shop,
Mhm.
if they send an agent out and that agent only contacts white men under the age of 40, right? That employer, regardless of whatever technology tool they're using, that employer is going to, and under US law, they have the burden of proving that is non-discriminatory.
Mm.
Right.
And with the way that all of these AI tools are right now, you don't know why it contacted that candidate. One of the things I find really interesting is we're finding out that when you ask the AI, why did you reach this decision? It speculates. It doesn't
Yep.
actually know. There's no like paper trail. You can't follow the actual decision. You can ask it what it did, but if you ask it what it did multiple times in a row, it gives you multiple decisions
Yeah.
or
Well,
or
and
explanations.
And the reason it's doing that, just side note, quick like little education on that, is because Gen AI is built on probabilities. So all these LLMs that they're doing is predicting the next word, right? So you ask it a question or put in a long prompt, right? And then it like tries to figure out what the next word in the answer is. So then it gives you it figures out the first four words of the answer, and then it takes that and then throws it back into the model to predict the next word. So it's literally and again I could do a whole like half hour like, wait, what is Gen I and how does it work? But it's literally based on probability. And so
Yeah.
just like when we're all talking now, if we tried to actually have the same exact conversation and say the same exact thing. Now, our words might be different. The intent, like what we're saying, high level is the same, but our actually words are slightly different. That's the same thing with Gen AI, right? And
Right.
so you got to think of it that way.
Yeah.
It's very
And
different. It's not an if then and sort of a straight decision tree thing that I feel like we're used to from using tools like this in the past.
yeah, and to build on what you're saying too, it's like even if we tried and we had it written down, right? Our tone's going to be different, our intonation,
Really
the
hard.
the breaks and all of that. So even if somehow we could replicate exactly the same words, but then I think like to the point of like proving non-discrimination, how how can I go back even 4 minutes and know for sure exactly what I was thinking at
Right.
that time
Right.
when I
Mhm.
chose that word? There's
Yeah.
there's no way. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
which
Um,
is interesting. I think also one thing that'll be interesting just thinking about, companies having agents and agentic AI, like candidates, right? Employees or like we'll probably have our own, right? right? It's like, and already we see that starting a bit as well with like candidates applying like through like an easy apply, and like it'll be interesting what'll happen in the next few years of agent to agent talking to each other and like pre-negotiating whatnot like that. I think we'll start to see as well. So it's gonna be cool.
Totally. And Glenn, before we kind of wrap up, because we only have another few minutes, I wanted to come back to something that you said, which I think is very consistent with what Jeanette's saying. Jeanette's basically saying candidates will have agents. And what I'm inferring from that is there's just going to be too many of these emails, and you're going to get drowned as a candidate under all of these emails, right? This isn't just Nike sending an email. There are 13 million employers in the US. Plus, there are employers in other countries that are willing to hire Americans, and American companies are willing to hire people in Canada and the UK and Nigeria and whatever. So it's the whole world that we're looking at. It's hundreds of millions of employers, each of which, or many of which, have many, many roles that come and go. I mean, we're talking billions of jobs and about 5 billion people on this planet that are of working age. So, Glenn, if this were to be turned on 3 years from now, I think what you were saying is like ordinary people like the three of us, well, the two of you, I'm probably not very ordinary, but whatever, another story for another day. But like, I think you're envisioning that you and everybody else is just going to get slammed with emails. And so then what do you do, right? What would you do? I mean, if all of a sudden you've got 5 emails of these a day, let alone 50, let alone 500, what are you going to start to do?
I mean, I think you're just going to block everything until you're in need of a job, right? I think that's the thing too. And when you're looking at tools, especially on the candidate side, like, I don't know, they don't want something where, this large software comes out for the candidates. You can't get something with like monthly subscribers because people want to use a tool, get a job, and then not have to use it again. So it's not something that's going to be consistent. I generally think people would just turn this off until they're in need of it. But I still think, I don't know, maybe I'm just old school and the system feels it works better when the intent's with the candidate and they start the process. They might use AI to be like, all right, I have such and such skills. I've worked at such and such companies. Who is hiring that would fit my skill set? Yeah. And, the agentic AI could start then, maybe like Jeanette said, talk to the agentic AI on the company side, start negotiating, see if it's a fit. I don't know. And the deeper we go down there, I think people will start to crave more and more human touch. Like, this feels really good for maybe if you're searching from a narrow pool, like in a more of an executive search or a C-level search to find candidates, but then you're not going to recruit an executive through AI as well without, human touch, talking to them in person, things like that. So I don't know.
Like hiring a CEO, right? But like, okay, just start on the first day, like show up. It's like
you're pre-approved. Yeah.
I mean, but who knows, right? Like I think it'll be very interesting to see. We think of all the data that's out there on all of us. How do we, we're interacting online, doing this and that, like starts to get put together. It could be interesting. Like, who knows? There might be.
Yeah. I to be clear, I commend Chris for getting up in public, sharing this vision and challenging us. Yeah. And so we're, I think the dialogue is super healthy. So Chris, thank you. If anybody wants to kind of like look at, there's a robust conversation going on LinkedIn. I'll take the blame. I kind of kicked it off. Go to my LinkedIn profile. I posted it about a week ago. It was something like maybe like June 6th, 7th, something like that. And there's an image of Chicken Little with resumes falling on him or her. So the other thing before we leave off, Jeanette, you are going to be one of the featured speakers on another webcast coming up.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes. So June 26th, I'm going to be speaking on AMS's webcast. I'm going to read the title because it's like really small for those who are looking at this. Okay, so here's the title. Ready? Mining Uncommon Sources of Talent: How Companies Use Tech to Hire Quality and diverse candidates. So it should be really cool because I'm on there. We have a speaker from Lightcast and Jobs for Humanity. And so again, like, how do you look for great talent in, different sources? And to me, I'm all about, like, again, going with the shades of gray. It's like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Shades of gray, be a little bit everywhere. Check it out. Like, just don't do black and white in one, and put everything in one source. So it should be pretty good. You can register and attend. And I think if you register and you can't make it, you can get an on-demand version of it. So
Okay.
come join us.
Cool. Yeah. AMS does an awesome job.
Yeah.
Glenn, Jeanette,
Awesome.
thank you.
Until next time.
Much good.
See you in July.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah.